Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fantasy Cricket Podcast. I'm Nick, as usual, joined by Azza. Good morning there, Azza.
Good morning, Nick. Finally in
Yeah,
the same city as you.
yeah, it's about time.
Yeah,
The heavens have opened up in sorrow that we're in the same city because this town ain't ready.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna get wet here.
Speaking of a
Two
town that's
months.
ready or not ready, though, I think this town, i.e., Delhi, is ready for a serious shot at the IPL trophy, which is a few weeks away, and
Yeah, but it's
hopefully
gonna
it'll
happen,
be.
isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm
it,
calling
it,
it.
it should be there or thereabouts. It
So
starts with this game against Hyderabad.
yeah, yeah. And ends with the Chennai Delhi final.
All right, then that's a bold prediction. I like it though.
Yeah,
Nothing would be sweeter than beating Chennai in the final. I think probably beating Mumbai in the final would be
Mumbai.
sweeter, but
Mumbai is the one.
I
Yeah,
think that would be sweeter. I'll tell you who's not beating any of those teams is Hyderabad. I mean, famous
no,
last words. I could go on to jinx the rest of the teams in this tournament.
I
But
I
my
don't think so.
God, have they been atrocious this tournament?
Yeah, they're just falling apart. I mean, they're one of their highest fantasy points getters for the season has not is might not start for them, i.e., David Warner. Although now
Yeah.
with Bairstow not being available, Warner's place seems much more likely in the team.
Well,
But
they've brought in a really solid player from the Bengal scene in Jason Roy, so I think
yeah,
that'll help.
yeah, that's true.
Uh, so I think all the Roys in Bengal will be very happy that they might get a chance to see someone like him playing.
It's
Um,
almost like they're trying to replace Bairstow with Bairstow's two favorite opening partners.
yeah, well, you know what? I think Bairstow and Roy, I think, have been the best opening international opening pair for the
Yeah.
last 5 years in limited overs cricket.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
might
think
be
it's
true.
even
And
disputed.
then for a minute there in the IPL, it was also Bairstow and Warner who were amongst the best
Yeah,
openers.
no, they were good. Bairstow
They
was
might be sort of undone by KL and Mayank, but KL and
No,
Mayank
yeah,
notoriously they've got 4 century plus partnerships in the IPL, and every one of them Punjab has gone on to lose. So then it
nice.
leaves you with Dhawan and Prithvi.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's for those guys. It's also domestic cricket, right? KL and Mayank, they
That's
play
true.
for Karnataka together.
Yeah,
They've
yeah,
got that. They've got that next level synergy that you need to be a
yeah.
top level batting partnership. Um, let's dive into this, Azza. We're gonna throw up some predictions, bold predictions.
Yeah.
Um,
So are we doing the
your
playing
bold
11s first?
Yeah, let's go with that. Well, let's start off with the fact that you don't have Rishabh Pant in your team because that for me is absurd. Explain that.
Yeah, yeah. You know how they say mutual fund sahi hai? I'm saying that Ridhiman Saha Saha hai.
Wow.
It's a very bad joke.
I wish I
But
didn't understand Hindi just because that was so awful to hear.
true, true. That was really bad. I should try again later in this episode. But anyway, my thinking is Rishabh Pant, since he's taken on captaincy, his strike rate's been falling. His average is there and thereabouts. Whereas Ridhiman Saha is playing like he has nothing to lose because he has nothing to lose. He bats up the order as well, which, from what we've seen in Dubai in the past few matches, means that he has more chance of giving you points. So that's really what I'm going for. Wicketkeeper points, as for catches, etc., don't matter as much in the IPL or in T20 cricket. So that's really my thinking there. It's a punt, but I'm going to go with it. There you go. The pun
That you
comes
don't
off
don't
the
think
second
don't
time.
think you've redeemed yourself for that, Azza.
Yeah.
Secondly, another place we have a slight difference in our picks is you have picked the world's number one test bench warmer. I have
Mm,
not. I don't have Ashwin. Not because I dislike Ashwin at all. I think he's a
yeah.
cracking bowler, and I'll explain my reasons in a second. What's your
Right.
logic behind picking Ashwin?
Um. Well, I've picked Ashwin and Rabada, and both of them for opposing reasons, going with their last season's record. So Rabada
Okay.
this season hasn't been great for Delhi, but that was in India. He was coming off the back of a lot of cricket. But if we look at Rabada's international record this year, where South Africa has played a bunch of cricket in the past
Yep.
few months. He's coming off good form. Ashwin, on the other hand, not much data to go by. When he did play last in the IPL, he had a bunch of other things in his mind. He wasn't
Yeah.
great last year in the UAE either, but I think that this is Ashwin's time to come good. He's probably raring to go, and it's a bit odd coming from me, but this is more of an intuitive pick than a stats-based pick.
Yeah, that is odd coming from you. You don't really do anything but numbers. I'm surprised you know anything that's not a number. Okay, so let's talk about Rabada for just a split second. As you said, we touched upon it in our preview episode. He was the purple cap holder last year. He was phenomenal last year for Delhi. He had a rocky start to the IPL this season. We marked him as sort of a player that has been disappointing, but he's in form, seemingly. Recency bias plays a thing. Dubai has shown that spinners are not really going to have a great time. Good fast bowling will get you wickets, particularly power play wickets. And you mentioned Rabada. What about? So I have Notier in as well. That's a combination of a prediction, because I think if the pitch is read properly, they should pick Notier. But also, I think from a fantasy point of view, he's someone who's going to get you a lot of points.
So Rabada and Norke were Delhi's top fantasy points getters, bar Shikhar Dhawan in the last season. So I would pick him if I was sure that he would be playing. So I'm going to wait for the toss, as we always tell our listeners: wait for the toss and pick your team. So I agree with you. I've just picked Avesh Khan as a stand-in until the time they announce the squad.
I've got both Avesh Khan and Anrik Notier, because I think it makes sense to have them both.
So what you've done is that you've not picked Ashwin, and then you've gone with Avesh Khan.
Exactly.
Whereas, I've gone with Ashwin and Avesh and no Norke.
So let's quickly, before we discuss maybe one or two of the Hyderabad picks, because I think I've gone 7-4. I think you probably have gone 7-4 as well, or something along those lines. You're 6-5. Okay, so it's pretty even split. We've both captain and vice captain the same people, I believe. We're both going with Shikhar Dhawan as captain and Avesh Khan as vice captain.
Oh no, I've gone with Rashid Khan as my vice captain.
No, that's my bad.
Yeah,
obviously picked the wrong Khan there. Rashid Khan's record speaks for itself.
We're not going to go off on a Rashid.
We're not going to go off on Rashid Khan tangent. We're not going to go on a Shikhar Dhawan tangent. Any other players from Hyderabad that stand out to you that could possibly make a top 11 at the end of the match for fantasy cricket?
For fantasy points, a couple, honestly. So, Manish Pandey, I don't think he's a very effective T20 player, but he's an effective T20 fantasy points getter. So he and the same can honestly be said this season for David Warner as well. So both of them, if they score about 40 odd, which is their expected points of about 50 to 70 expected points, that's you're in the bank with those guys. I'm not saying that they're going to have match-winning performances, but we don't really care about that here, do we? No. On the other hand, Kane Williamson...
Clearly neither do Hyderabad. Sorry. Maybe too soon if you're sitting there.
Too soon, yeah. Okay. I don't know if we have too many Hyderabad supporters in the podcast, so we can be a bit more lax about this. Or, I don't know, can we?
Yeah, of course we can. It's Hyderabad. They're playing like absolute rubbish.
Yeah, true. Looks like they're doing Ringa Ringa Roses around the Charminar. If you get that bubonic plague reference, then good for you.
That's a bit much. That's a bit much for me.
It's very niche. Anyway. So the other one that I've gone with is Kane Williamson. So that's I've gone with 5 batsmen in total and 3 Hyderabad batsmen. with the two Delhi openers, just because their probability of getting out in the first 10 overs is second to only Mayank and KL. So they're going to give you a lot of points if they stay in, and there's a high probability of them staying in. So the third Hyderabad batsman that I've gone for is Kane. And Kane Williamson is a match winner and a points getter. So it's really not much else to be said about that.
Sure.
I noticed
No,
that
that
you've
makes
gone
sense.
the other way with Jason Roy in your side.
As is my wont throughout every fantasy cricket game we play, I
Yeah.
always have an English player bias.
Yeah.
Particularly in limited overs cricket, best team in the world, being the best limited overs team for the last 5 years easily. Jason Roy's been fantastic. I think this kind of wicket will suit him. We saw flashes of it with Liam Livingstone last night. I think if Jason Roy, I think he can get going. I think he can take off if he gets his chance. He's the ideal partner to someone like David Warner at the top.
Yep.
And I think Jason Holder, the other Jason's been in awful form in the CPL. I mean, his form was
Terrible form.
terrible. That's the last thing you'd want. You know, you're hoping if you're a Hyderabad fan, players go back, regroup, come back stronger.
Yeah.
That has definitely not happened.
Yeah.
It's looking highly unlikely. I think Jason Roy rather than Jason Holder was my thought process there.
Sure.
Akshar Patel's thrown in because I needed a decent all-round option along with Stoinis, a bit Stoy.
Yeah.
But I don't think Spin's going to do very well here based on what we've seen the last couple of games.
Yep.
But that's it. I've got nothing more to say.
Fair enough.
Delhi's first game back, match number 33 of this season. Really hyped. Looking forward to hopefully seeing Delhi level on points and hopefully ahead on net run rates at the end of the game. I'd like a great game of cricket where we win lots of fantasy points and stuff like that.
Do you care more about Delhi winning, or do you care more about getting winning the fantasy league that we have with the boys? That's the eternal question, isn't it?
Delhi winning, which is why a game like this, keeps me up at night. If it's a game against, a genuine title contender, then I can load the fantasy team with players from the opposition, and that way I'm hedging my losses, wins or losses, hedging my bets. This way, I'd have to be an absolute sadist to put Hyderabad players in my fantasy 11, so I'm setting myself up for double disappointment. Well, triple disappointment now, given how much I've chatted shit about Hyderabad.
That's true. I think, honestly, that even though Hyderabad's shit, a lot of their players get you a lot of fantasy points.
Are we allowed to use that word? Are we going to be like
in India? It's not a swear word, and I'm Indian.
I suppose we have to be monetized to be demonetized, so that's not really an issue either.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what that
all right, Azza, we've gone on. We don't know what monetized. Okay. Well, we'll give you an economics lesson after this. Yeah, I'll show you the numbers. We've gone on way longer than we're supposed to, as usual. We got sidetracked to get distracted. We're like Labrador puppies. Anything to add, Azza, before we sign off?
I'm just going to say I'm going to make a case for Rashid Khan. T20 cricket in 2021, 34 matches, 49 wickets, 1.4 wickets per match. Expected, that's 36 points right off the bat. He's also scored 838 runs. His bowling strike rate is 15.4, which is amongst the lowest in T20 cricket this year. So that's a case for...
So let me get this straight. I ask you for any closing thoughts, and you end on the one player we said doesn't need to be discussed.
Yeah, I just thought that I want to
just clarify.
Justify. You know how they say that you should always conclude with something that you've already said before? I thought I'll be a renegade in that.
Literally nobody says that. So now that we've lost more viewers in the last 5 minutes, I think we've said it all. Rashid Khan is obviously a must pick. If that wasn't clear enough, you vice captained him. It's going to be a good game. It's probably going to be a high scoring game, and that's it. I think as we touch the 15-minute mark and we pull our hair out that it's been 20 minutes too long, people don't really want this podcast.
No, I don't think we won this
Clearly.
podcast.
Yeah, I don't think we want it. Azza, thanks a lot. We'll tune in for a few more preview episodes of matches as the IPL progresses.
Yeah.
And stay safe. Stay dry. Don't go outside. I know you're usually dripping in it, so be a bit careful.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, Nick.
Cheers.